It is kind of funny that as a teacher, I'm terrified of public speaking. Students I can handle. So the topic was the idea of grit. And I think the story that I'll share, a lot of you can relate to. In 7th grade, I walked into my English class, and the English teacher gave us an assignment. The assignment was to rewrite a fairy tale, but you had to rewrite it from a different character's point of view. So I chose Rumpelstiltskin, and I wrote it from the point of view of Rumpelstiltskin, and really analyzed the question, why on earth does he want that baby? And the English teacher did an absolutely amazing job of teaching me how to write a story. And I left that assignment going, I've never done that before, and I feel really successful. And it was in that moment that I decided I'm going to be a teacher. 7th grade. We're going back more years than I'm going to count. And from that point on, I created a file folder. So in every English class I walked into, I collected and kept the assignments that I would one day want to use in my own classroom. And I kept my workings of the assignment. So I have the assignment in this file folder, and I have the work that I did. 8th grade I did this, 9th grade I did this, 10th grade I have an English teacher, and we get into poetry. And I was excited because at the time the English teacher was a poet. And I'm thinking, wow, I could be an English teacher and I can write on my own. And I can give the assignments to my kids and have them analyze my writing. Win-win. So we worked through a lot of poetry, and he taught us how to dissect a poem, and he taught us how to pull meaning, and all the things that English teachers do well. And he gave us assignment, gave us this poem, and for homework or to complete the assignment, we had to do it independently. I have this. I complete the assignment, I hand it in, I'm really, really happy and really proud of it until I get the grade. I failed. And on one hand, I'm really discouraged. I'm really upset that, wow, this English teacher is telling me that my interpretation is not only a B or a C, it's an F. So in that moment, when I could have said, I'm not doing this, I decided that I'm going to be the type of English teacher where I encourage more than one answer. I kept the assignment in my file folder. 11th, 12th, I'm still collecting assignments. I go away to college in 1996, and I am still eager to be a teacher, that I graduate early. I give up my summers. I take extra classes. Instead of the typical 15, I take 18. I push myself because I know I want to do this. This is what I'm supposed to do. I graduate. And yes, I'm still adding to my file folder from my college professors now. And then I go and apply for my master's. To show how serious I am, that I still want to be a teacher even after all these years, I schedule an interview. And I sit with the director of the program, and I bring with me my file folder. And I set it down, and I go, these are all the reasons. These are the things that supported me in my journey and have encouraged me to keep going even when sometimes I don't want to. And I get into the program, I get my master's, and then begins the interview process. One of the things you do when you get your master's is you spend a lot of time reflecting on the teachers in your life. Do you remember that paper where you're, who is the teacher that inspired you? Who's the teacher? Well, I did that. I did several of those papers. And there was this one teacher in particular that I liked him so much, I even took Latin. Latin. And he was one of many that really made me commit to this journey. So the interview process begins. When you're about to get your master's, you go out and you start going on interviews. I went on 11. During one of the interviews, they asked me a whole bunch of questions, and at the end of the interview, they said, thank you, but you're too creative. Okay. On another interview, I walked in, the air conditioning was broken. It was a really hot day, and the superintendent didn't know my name, hadn't looked at my resume. It lasted for 10 minutes, and I was out the door. Next. Going through this process, very humbling, very discouraging. It's very difficult. Then I come to my alma mater. And I find out that the teacher that I took Latin, that I followed throughout my high school career, he's the assistant superintendent. And I'm thinking, I get to finally say thank you. I'm going to walk in, I'm going to reintroduce myself, because I'm not going to assume he remembers me. But I have this moment. I spent a whole year reflecting on teaching practices. This is the guy. So I show up for the interview. He comes out of the room that they're going to hold the interview. He says, "Hi, how are you?" Great. Clearly he doesn't recognize me. He says, can we talk for a minute? Sure. He pulls me into another room. We sit down at the table, and he says, "Well, I'm glad you applied. I see that you went here. I just want to let you know that just because you went here, don't expect a job." Okay, so I'm not going to say thank you right now. We walk out of the room, and I walk into the interview. That lasts for 45 minutes. I absolutely cannot tell you one thing I said, because I was gone. Mentally, that was like as low as you could possibly go in that process. On the 12th interview, I got hired. I hung in there. And I have been with Schenectady for the last 14 years, for my entire teaching career. And I am happy. That file folder that has sustained me and has followed me, it's in my classroom, although the assignments no longer fit with Common Core. They are still in my filing cabinet in my classroom, and they have moved from middle school up to the high school. And they are the reminder that I still have the passion, no matter how difficult it is, no matter what gets thrown at us. Someone said earlier about on the card about taking punches. No matter what it is, that's my life raft. That has been my driving force, and that has sustained me through the challenges that we face on a daily basis. And again, it's in my classroom, and it just is my focus and why I do what I do.